Hey there, and welcome to the Business of Business podcast.
Dempsey Weiss & Associates is a multi-line insurance agency successfully meeting the insurance and financial needs of the landscaping, business contractor, and agricultural community in southern New Jersey and southeastern Pennsylvania since 1989. To learn more, visit us at www.dempseyweiss.com.
Thanks for joining us. So grab a coffee, turn up the volume. Here we go. All right, well, let's record. You guys just go. All right.
Stace, you should know we're very passionate about money.
I am too. You guys are talking so much I can't even say what I want to say, but that's all right.
Well, you're the host. Go.
Welcome back. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Business of Business podcast. Janet, if you decide not to cut that out, I won't be mad at you because then it'll let our listeners know that we are in it. We are talking about it. We are all about the business of business and this podcast. And I'm with the dad and the daughter, Jack and Jennifer. And before I forget, I am your host, Staci J. Dempsey. And the J is very important because it is what brings the joy. And so, Janet, I hope you don't cut any of that out because I hope our listeners, that way our listeners will really know we are really talking about these things. We are really in the groove. And today's topic, as Jennifer said, we're very passionate about when it comes to money. Well, we're also very passionate about figuring out pricing, especially in this new world that we live in. How do we choose the right pricing strategy for our business? You know, before when we were talking and, we were talking about all the things that go into pricing. It reminded me of when I took a trip back in October and stayed in a very, very nice hotel. And guess what? They're not coming in to clean unless you pay them now. And that's because of COVID. We're not going to subject our cleaning staff, to any additional cleaning while you are staying in your room. We'll clean it right before you come. We'll clean it afterwards. But that in between cleaning, unless you are going to pay for it, we are not going to be doing that. And that's because of COVID. And so I found that to be, at first I was like, wow, really? Well, and on top of it, how much is it? Oh, well. I think
I'll make my bed.
Yeah, I was like, well, you know what? It's just me and my husband. So as long as nobody else comes in here, I'm okay with it. So we'll just pass on that expense. But it was a pricing strategy based on the new circumstances that we are in. And it also made me realize no business is exempt from the pricing strategies, and different costs that, every business is facing. So Jennifer, let me start with you. When you are thinking through your pricing for haircuts, color, I know we talked a lot about this before you started your business, and doing comparisons of maybe they were not hair salons, maybe hair cutleries. Is that what we can call them? Cutleries, the walk-in types establishments, and comparing prices and things like that. And so I know you really thought that through in the very beginning of before you started the studio, and your pricing determined also, who you want to work with, right? Who you, what type of people that you want to invite into your business. So why don't you just share with us a little bit about how you think through your pricing when it comes to, the services that you offer at J.Faith Hair Studio?
Service industry pricing is huge. And, it's funny. One of my stylists just asked me not that long ago, or rather told me, I just thought you just came up with a number and that's how you price the services. So I had to take a step back and really explain to my team, how we first priced out when we first opened to, current day 5 years later, goes off of many, many different things. The most important thing, especially when we were first starting, was just the income of the area that we lived in. That was really the backbone of how we priced our services. And then as we grew, of course, cost of living demand on time, experience. And, in the service industry, a big part of your pricing is what you put into it is what you get out of it. Okay. So I think one of the amazing things that just naturally happened to me is I've been doing hair in the same industry for, can I say 12 years? I can't even believe 12 years. I'm not that old. So a lot of people have really started from the bottom and grew with me through the years and have seen the developing of experience and knowledge. When it comes to any kind of service-based business, it's all about what you put into it. Not too long ago, a 4-week, 1 month long, $400 class to elevate the experience and the talent for myself and the salon. So, it's that investing in your business obviously plays a role in it. And you're right, Stace, what kind of people are you trying to attract, and what kind of amazingly talented stylists do I want to work with? Because amazing, talented stylists also want to make a lot of money. So we know that if you go in and your haircut is $8, but minimum wage is $12, then we already know that stylist is, number one, not making any money and absolutely has lost their passion. The wonderful thing about hairstylists and what I love most about them is their passion, creativity, and their willingness to learn and elevate their craft. In return, they want to be paid well. Pricing is a huge, huge topic in our industry, because there is a lot of shaming that goes on from the outside world saying, we don't think you deserve to make that much money. And really just people that don't understand what we do and the industry at all, which I think over time has put into service provider, again, any service, has made them to believe that they don't deserve to make money. So it's almost a mindset change we are constantly working at with inside the industry, that you do deserve to make money. So, recently we raised our prices in the salon, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I got pushback from my staff. Number one is fear. I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, when you go in and you're raising your prices, there's fear. The number one fear is, I'm going to lose people. I'm going to lose clients. Trying to now take a couple steps back to build mindset of, well, everyone's raising prices, whether you know it or you don't. A big topic that we talked about is when they decide to raise prices on milk, do you get a 6-week notice that they're going to raise their prices on milk, or they just do it? And then the consumer can decide whether I want to buy this milk or not. Raising prices, first things first, is you need to mind your business. You can't worry about someone else's money. People will spend their money on what they find valuable, especially in our industry, in our business. We always want to add value and charge what we're worth. For people that are not in the service industry, sometimes that they can't grasp all of that entails. But again, I told Dad just the other day, and I don't know if you like this or not, Dad, and it was hard for me to say, but when it came to the decision that we had to raise our prices, and again, it's been 5 years since I opened my business, 5 years since I've raised prices inside my business, we either raise our prices or we close the salon. And that's just black and white, because we can't continue on this way and make any kind of profit, have any kind of growth, have any kind of cash flow for investment. It's just not, it just can't happen. So that was the drive behind that. Obviously, when I'm looking at my business this year, everything inside my business is going up across the board. Every single thing, from the products that we have went up, rent's going up, minimum wages going up, gloves are going up. I mean, and not going up like $2 or $3, right? So going from buying a box of gloves for $5 to now $20 for one box. I mean, we're seeing just huge growth of what the salon has to put out just to do the bare minimum. So for us, raising our prices was a non-negotiable. It absolutely had to happen. That doesn't mean that there was some fear behind it. So hopefully we can talk about some of that and clear that up for our listeners.
I think what people have to understand is, again, depending on your business, I mean, if you're dealing with selling products, then you have to just say, okay, well, who's my competition? What are they doing? Because again, if you're competing against other distributors of that product and you just see that, they have either scale or something working in their favor, then you're going to have to figure out what can I bring value that they're not going to bring. So an example might be, like your smaller appliance stores. It still seems like, and it might just be me, but I still see kind of the small appliance stores, hometown appliance stores, being able to survive and do pretty well up against the big box stores and other distributors of appliances. And whenever you talk to someone, they continue to go back and are willing to pay a little more for that product because they want the technician, they want the people who work for that business to be able to come out when there's a problem. They want that service after the sale. So that's, I think, is a way that they've been able to carve out, a way to be in business and do very well up against, some of these larger distributors of those products. So that's an example of bringing value. Now, like in Jen's case, you're going to have businesses that out there that, and there's, hey, Staci, it's not cutlery. That's what you cut steak with. It's cuttery.
Well, listen, I don't go to those places, so I don't know what
good.
they're actually called. I go to the studio.
Right.
So I just see it when I drive by when I'm headed to the studio.
Right.
In the Acme parking lot. I don't know what's going on over there.
Okay. All right. So yeah, but there's businesses out there where you can get an $8 or a $10 haircut, and that's fine. There's going to be people who want that, and there's a provider for that. So we shouldn't try to compete with that. We've got to be able to say, here's our business. Here's who, here's, like you said, Jen, you're willing to invest in education, in taking your stylist through new trends, new cutting techniques, new coloring, and invest that. I mean, I know you do a great job with that, you and your team, you work hard, all week long and then carve out a Sunday afternoon to take a 3-hour class for self-improvement, so again, you should be able to price for that self-development, bringing new ideas and all to your business. And I think the other thing that business owners need to understand is they do need to price for a profit. You have to price for a profit. I remember talking with a client who was a tree business where they cut trees, trimmed trees, took down trees. And he said something very interesting to me. He said that if he had to price his jobs, that he would only win 4 out of 10 bids, 4 out of 10. And he said, because I found myself, if I was pricing 5 or more, to win 5 or more of every bid, I wasn't making any profit. I was not making a profit. I was just, money was coming in the top of the business and going right back. There wasn't anything left for me. But I found if I'm getting 4 out of 10 bids, then I'm pricing it to the end of the day, I'm making a profit. Understanding that you have to price for a profit. And that might mean that, you're not going to make not everybody's going to do business with you. You're not going to convert every opportunity into, a piece of business or a sale. But if you don't, you're going to, as Jen said, I'm going to be out of business anyway, because I'm not making any profit to be able to grow and do the things that, that I need to do. So I think it's important because it is hard. It is very hard in those situations to price, if you're pricing out of fear, you're probably going to always struggle with profit. You're probably always going to struggle, with profit.
Yeah, and back to your point, Dad, about family-owned small businesses. I think where the value comes in is how you take care of your guests, right? The experience. So I know if we drop the ball in any kind of situation, we're going to follow through and make sure that we make that right, no matter what that looks like. And that's why, we're not super big on quote unquote discounting right? Because a lot of the times when you discount things inside your business, you're really only attracting people that are looking for a discount, right? So we don't encourage a whole lot of discounts. We want people to find value in us, and we want to find value in them. And it always comes back to, wanting to do business with people that want to do business with you, right? People that like you and you like them. It makes for a happier, healthier environment. So, just for example, I know we dropped the ball. We had a guest wait 30 minutes past their appointment time. So, we dropped the ball, and acknowledging that face to face with your guest, with your client, with your customer speaks volumes to them, because, we want to value their time just as much as we expect them to value our time. So we need to immediately make that right. So people love that kind of relationship. And if you want to charge the prices that you want to charge, you have to make sure that you have those guidelines and those systems in place, that when or if you drop the ball, how do we make it right so the customer is not affected?
J.Faith Hair Studio, centrally located in southern New Jersey. J.Faith Hair Studio is the place to go to become the best version of yourself. Confidence in your appearance is always important, and a great hairstyle is an absolute necessity. Visit jfaithhairstudio.com to book your appointment today.
And Staci, as you know, like in our case, when it comes to pricing of insurance products, we have very little control, if no control for that. Obviously, insurance companies are establishing what those numbers are, but again, at the end of the day, we have to understand that we're the ones that they're looking at, so, people, we have to make sure we're delivering on the value experience. We're delivering on the customer service experience, that we're creating a situation where, there's an ease of doing business, that there's a relationship with people, that they like they like dealing with your staff, and you're investing in people, as Jen is doing. We're investing in people to grow their competency, to grow their expertise, to grow their ability to do things quickly and efficiently and correctly. And so then it begins, so when the insurance company decides they've got to increase the price of that insurance product, well, again, they're not, the client hopefully is making a decision about, okay, I'm still getting, I don't really want to pay more for that, but but I'm willing to, because the value that the office is bringing to them and their business and their life is worth it, because again, we can control that. So that would be the other thing that I would encourage our listeners, is, price where you need to be. Certainly, we're not talking about gouging people, but certainly price where you need to be to make a profit, and then really, be super vigilant about controlling the value piece, the customer experience, and all those things, because, we have to understand too, I think more and more, especially I think technology is driving this, is everybody's looking for a good deal, right? I mean, let's face it. I mean, if I see something, that, costs one thing, I mean, it's easy to go online and find, several other suppliers of that product, and I can very easily just click on, okay, all right, they're giving me the best deal, click, right? So we have to understand that the environment is changing, that people do want, they're always looking for a good deal, so when it comes to your business, you have to bring value, and if it's, or you have to bring high quality, if you're in the food business, so I know we've had people, entrepreneurs, on our podcast that we've interviewed. Well, again, I'm willing to pay more for food, if I'm eating out, because I know if I know it's quality, I know it's going to be served fresh, I know it's going to be served hot, so yeah, I might be able to go, to this restaurant and I might pay $25 for that entree. And I could go over here and maybe, pay $15 for that entree. It could be that big a difference. But I'm going to the 25 because I know, of the quality that I'm getting, so people will pay in those things. They will pay if they feel like they're getting, that quality in return. Packaging, how you deliver on the product is another big thing. I mean, Apple is a great example of that. I mean, it's amazing how people will hang on to the packaging of an Apple product just because they do such a fantastic job. I mean, it's like the box that everything comes in is almost like a piece of art or something, just the way they package their product. Now, again, could you go have bought that phone or that laptop for half the price of that Apple product? Probably, but again, you go back to Apple because you know what you're getting, and it's just quality, and you're willing to pay for that. Pricing is tricky. There's no doubt about it, but you do definitely, number one, I think, is, again, what do I need to be priced at to make a profit? Being in business for yourself is much too challenging to not be profitable at it. It's just too much to it to walk away and not making any money.
Well, that's exactly right. And, like you mentioned before, Jack, in our line of work, we don't have any control over pricing, but what we do have control over is the experience that clients have with us. And I know that you have clients that have been with you since literally when you started Dempsey Weiss, so for 31 years. And that says a lot, that the people are willing to, especially in 30 years, how the world has changed. Like you said, you can go online and get quotes and all of, and it might be cheaper. And I know I have had clients come to me and say, hey, Cece, I just went online. I did this quick quote. Maybe it's a lot cheaper. Maybe it's just cheaper than, what we have going on. Can you just double check to make sure that I have everything that I'm not paying for something I don't need? And we have a whole conversation, and that they stay with me, because again, at the end of the day, they know that they're going to call me if they have a problem. They're going to have me, when they're going to they have me to help facilitate other things in the office, and they have me as a resource. So there's certainly value added in that, but every business can, we can control the experience that our clients have. And like you mentioned earlier, Jennifer, people will pay. Actually, now that I'm thinking about this, I think this is a dad quote. Pretty sure this is a dad quote. You're just saying it a little bit differently. Oh, wait, no. Dad's quote is, people will find the time to do the things that they want to do. That might have
my own quotes. Don't confuse us.
That might have come from me not wanting to go to work when I was like 18. So
that's right.
Yeah, I was super lucky.
We always find the time to do the things we want to do.
Right. And now, as we've gotten older, it's people will find the money to do the things that they want to do and have the experience that they want to have. And so, no matter what business we're in, we can certainly have control over that, and some control over our pricing. But again, we're not doing this because we don't want to make money, right? Just like people don't want to go to work not to get a paycheck. So especially the world in which we live in COVID, I know that we are, taking on even additional expenses that we've had maybe as a line item in our budget, but not quite the same number that we're accustomed to because of, what COVID has, brought into our lives as far as cleanliness and gloves and hand sanitizer. I didn't know you could spend so much money on hand sanitizer. I didn't know it. Yeah. I didn't know it was a thing, but it's a thing. But nevertheless.
Well, another thing too, Staci, I want to jump in. I think it's important, especially depending on your business. And Jennifer alluded to it as far as, coupons. A lot of businesses try to track, I don't know if it's still a big deal out there now, but like Groupons, way to draw people into their business, especially starting out. And I think everybody that I talk to that have used that strategy, quite frankly, have regretted it, I think, because the idea is to use that to introduce people to what you're doing. But it sounds like to me, all you're doing is just having people that just do Groupon. They'll do it if I can get a Groupon. As soon as if I can't apply Groupon, I'm not coming back. So I would just be cautious, kind of, making that kind of investment. It doesn't sound like that's particularly effective, in the long term. I would just really try to be committed to here's what we believe in, here's what we're going to charge, and realize that at the end of the day, if you can build your business on that clientele, you'll have a solid business and you'll make a profit. It might go a bit slower in the beginning, still would be probably the right way to do it. The other thing is that value that you bring after the sale. And I'm not talking, we alluded to the appliance store being able to have a quality service department and that type of thing with technicians that work for that business. But I'm talking about just other things. Maybe again, if you utilizing email or you're reaching out to your customers or clients. And that's the big thing that we're trying to do is we don't want our clients just to think of us as a place where they do insurance transactions. Certainly we do that and we want to do that very effectively, but we want them to be receiving things from us because we want them to see us that we're rooting for their business. We're rooting for them. Here's something that we hope this will bring value to you as a business owner. We hope this will bring value to you as a family. It's not something that, hey, here's something that we want you to buy from us. Here's just something that we hope it'll help you. If you have a business that fits in that category and you can do that, that just helps people see that, they're getting something more for what they're paying than just the product or the actual service. They're getting a business that's wanting to come alongside them, in some of their pursuits, whether it be business or just the pursuit of life. So I think that's, if you can do that as a business owner, that's huge.
I tie, entrepreneurship very tightly with integrity. And I think that the more entrepreneurs you meet, number one, are very passionate about their craft or their business, and they truly come from doing business with integrity, and that's important. And so when we're talking about pricing and maybe setting up your pricing for a brand new business, it's very important to understand your bills. And like you said, Dad, pricing to make a profit. And as your business grows, which again, I'm learning and in the process of figuring out, cost of living grows. Right? Cost of product. So just because we're in COVID, that's just another layer on top of it. But really, should we see a price increase every year in our business, depending what business you're in? Again, we're thinking about the food industry that is severely, impacted right now. It's actually impressive when you go by a restaurant and see the lengths that these entrepreneurs go to make their customers comfortable with outdoor dining and heaters and everything that they've done. So of course, I look at that like, wow, look at, they're leading with integrity. Now, I don't know if their prices have raised or not. In my opinion, they probably should. So my question to you guys is, I set up my business we didn't have to raise our prices within the first 5 years. We work off of a level system and have different pricing for different level of stylists. So now 5 years later, as a whole, we're raising our prices across the board. It doesn't matter what level you are, where you're at, what you're doing, everything is being raised. Is that something that we should prepare entrepreneurs to do every year as cost of living goes up? Or is that something that entrepreneurs should look at? Okay, if we're going to raise our prices now, let's look over the next 3 years so we just can raise them now and circle back in 3 years, or in hopes that we don't have to raise them again in 3 years.
I think there's a lot of factors in that, Jen, that you have to take into consideration. Definitely you have to look at the type of business you're in. You do have to look at what the competition's doing in your area. If you have competition, that's basically providing the very same service and product that you are. So I think you have to take a look at some of those things. But yeah, at the end of the day, every year prices go up. you can only address it one of two ways. You either have to do, some level of increase in pricing, or somehow you have to, scale your business to be somewhat bigger to absorb that. So you just have to get more people into your business. So I think, you just ask that question, can I stay where I'm at and just with quality bring more people in the door somehow that I'm not doing now? But, again, at the end of the day, you have to be able to price to the point where you are making a profit, because if you can't make a profit, there's no reason to be in business. There's no reason to be doing it. This is not something that you should be subjecting yourself to as an entrepreneur and not making any money because you're fearful. I think it's okay. I mean, quite frankly, my dentist raises, every year I'm paying a little bit more at my dentist's office, to get just, my teeth cleaned. Everybody, again, they're not usually big jumps. It's not like they're doubling in price, but it might go up, a few bucks. So, I think that there is some level of expectation. It's probably almost better to raise your price a little bit consistently than wait and then take the bigger jump, depending again on the type of your business, wait 3 or 4 years where you might have been able to take, maybe 1 or 2% increases, but now you wait 3 years and now you're taking a 10 or 15% jump. Smaller over time is probably better.
I think I have to agree with you after just my experiences and first time going through this. It's definitely, I think, and again, for our listeners, we're talking about $2-3 price increase, right? When we wait so long, like I did, and my mistake is now we're looking at $9. We're looking at a bigger price increase. So when it's all said and done, we're looking at a $50 increase that our guests are definitely going to notice, and in hopes finding value in that increase. We live and we learn. We don't have all the answers as an entrepreneur. So I'm still learning. As you can tell, I talk to my dad a lot about all these topics we talk to, but I love to fuel our podcast with my problems because you guys help me clear it up a little bit.
Great, Jen. That's exactly what we're all here for.
Just for me.
For you. Well, this has been great. Good conversation. Definitely a tough subject, I think, even though it's so vital to being in business. It's the blessing and the curse, but it's definitely a tough topic to discuss, to share, what's worked, what hasn't worked, what we've learned, as we're just rolling with the punches of a new world that we're living in, and new expenses that we've never really been accustomed to being a hard line item in the budget, but we're figuring it all out. So we want to thank our listeners for plugging in with us today. We appreciate you. I just want to remind everybody that you can contact us at Two Daughters and Their Dad. That's TWO, Daughters and Their Dad @gmail.com. We'd love to hear any questions that you have, or if you'd like any feedback on maybe some challenges that you are facing in your business. We're happy to help in any way we can. So until we can be together again, we thank you guys. Be safe, and we will talk to you guys soon. Bye. We want to thank you for listening today. Please subscribe so you never miss an episode. Leave us a positive review. And we want to say thank you to our sponsors, Dempsey, Weiss & Associates and J.Faith Hair Studio.